The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 2, Section 2, Jnana Yoga, The Real Nature of Man, lecture delivered in London. Great is the tenacity with which man clings to the senses. Yet, however substantial he may think he the external world in which he lives and moves, there comes a time in lives of individuals and of races when involuntarily they ask, is this real? To the person who never finds a moment to question the credentials of his senses, whose ever movement is occupied with some sort of sense enjoyment. Even to him death comes, and he also is compelled to ask, is this real? Religion begins with the question and ends with its answer. Even in the remote past, where recorded history cannot help us, in the mysterious light of mythology, back in the dim twilight of civilization, we find the same question was asked. What becomes of this? What is real? One of the most poetical of Upanishads, the Katha Upanishad, begins with the inquiry. When a man dies, there is a dispute. One party declares that he has gone forever, and the other insists that he is still living. Which is true? Various answers have been given. The whole sphere of metaphysics, physiology, and religion and philosophy is really filled with various answers to these questions. At the same time, attempts have been made to suppress it, to put a stop to the unrest of mind, which asks what is beyond, what is real. But so long as death remains, all these attempts at suppressing will always prove to be unsuccessful. We may talk about saying nothing beyond and keeping all our hopes and aspirations confined to the present moment and struggle hard not to think of anything beyond the world of senses. And perhaps everything outside helps to keep us limited within its narrow bounds. The whole world may combine to prevent us from out, broadening out beyond the present. Yet, so long as there is that, the question must come again and again, is that the end of all these things to which we are clinging, as if they were the most real to of all realities, the most substantial of all substances? The world the world vanishes in the moment and is gone. Standing on the brink of the precipice beyond which is the infinite yawning chasm, every mind, however hardened, is bound to recoil and ask, is this real? It hopes of the hopes of the lifetime build up little by little with all the energies of the great mind vanish in a second. Are they real? This question must be answered. Time never lessens its power. On the other hand, it adds strength to it. Then there is a desire to be happy. We run after everything to make ourselves happy. We pursue our mad career in external world of senses. If you ask the young man with whom life is successful, he will declare that it is real, and he really thinks so. Perhaps when the same man grows old and finds fortune ever eluding him, he will then declare that it is fate. He finds at last that his desire cannot be fulfilled. Wherever he goes, there is an adamantine wall beyond which he cannot pass. Every sense activity results in the reaction. Everything is evanescent enjoyment, misery, luxury, wealth, power, poverty, even life itself are all evanescents. Two positions remain to mankind. One is to believe with the nihilist that all is nothing, that we know nothing, that we can never know anything either about the future, past, or even the present. For we must remember that he who denies the past and future and wants to stick to the present is simply a madman. One way, one may as well deny the father and mother and assert the child. It would be equally logical. To deny the past, future, and the present must inevitably be denied also. This is one position that of the nihilists. I have never seen the man who could really become nihilist for 1 minute. It is very easy to talk. Then there is the other position to seek for an explanation, to seek for real, to discover in the midst of this eternally changing and evanescent world whatever is real. In this body, which is an agreement of molecules of matter, is there anything which is real? This may this may has been the search throughout the history of human mind. In the very oldest time, we often find gleams of light coming into men's mind. We find men, even then, going a step beyond this body, finding something which is not this external body, although very much like it, much more complete, much more perfect, which remains even when the body is dissolved. We read in the hymns of the Rig Veda addressed to the god of fire, who is burning the dead body. Carry him, O fire, in your arms gently. Give him the perfect body, a bright body. Carry him where the Father lives, where there is no more sorrow, where there is no more death. The same idea you will find present in every religion, and we get another idea with it. It is the significant fact that all religions, without one exception, hold that the man is degeneration of what he was, whether they clothe with this in mythological words, whether they clothe this in the mythological words or in the clear language of philosophy or a beautiful expression of poetry. This is the one fact that comes out of every scripture and every mythology, that man that is a degeneration of what he was. This is the kernel of truth within the story of Adam's fall in the Jewish scripture. This is again and again repeated in the scriptures of Hindus. The dream of a period which they call the age of truth, when no man dies unless we wish to die, when he could keep his body as long as he liked and his mind was pure and strong. There was no evil, no misery, and the present age is a corruption, and the present age is the corruption of the state of perfection. Side by side with this, we find the story of the deluge everywhere. That story itself is a proof that this present age is held to be corruption of the former age religion, by every religion. It went on becoming more and more corrupt until the deluge swept away a large portion of mankind, and again the ascending series begin. It is going up slowly again to reach once more the early state of purity. You are all aware of the story of deluge in the Old Testament. The same story was a current among the ancient Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Chinese, the Hindus. Manu, a great ancient sage, was praying on the bank of Ganga when the little Minnow came to him for protection, and he put it into a pot of water he had before him. What do you want? Asked Manu. The little minnow declared he was the pursued by the bigger fish and wanted protection. Manu carried the little fish to his home, and in the morning he had become a big as pot and said, I cannot live in the pot any longer. Manu put him in the tank, and the next day he was big as the tank, and he declared he could not live there anymore. So Manu had to take him to river, And in the morning the fish filled the river. Then the Manu put the fish in the ocean, and he declared, Manu, I am the creator of the universe. I have taken this form to come and warn you that I will delude the world. You build an ark, and it will put a pair and in it put a pair of every kind of animal, and let your family enter the ark. And there will be the project out of the water by my horn. Fasten the ark to it, and when the deluge subside, come out and people the earth. So the world was deluded, and Manu saved his own family and two of every kind of animal and seeds of every plants. When the deluge subsided, he came and peopled the world, and we called men because we are the progeny of Manu. Now, human language is the attempt to express the truth that is within. I am fully persuaded by that a baby whose language consists of unintelligible sounds is attempting to express the highest philosophy. Only the baby has not the organs to express or it nor the means. The difference between the language of the highest philosophers and the utterance of the baby is one of the degree and not of kind. What you call the most correct, sympathetic, systematic, mathematical language of the present time and the hazy, mystical, mythological language of the ancient differ only in degree. All of them have the grand idea behind, which is, as it were, struggling to express itself, and often behind these ancient mythologies and nuggets of truths. And often I am are nuggets of truths, and often, I am sorry to say, behind the fine, polished the phrases of the modern is errant trash. So we need not throw a little overboard because it is clothed in mythology, because it does not fit in with the notion of Mr. So and so and Mrs. So and so of the modern times. If people should laugh at religion because most religion declare that men must believe in mythologies taught by such and such a prophet, they ought to laugh more at these moderns. In modern times, of if a man quotes a Moses or a Buddha or Christ, he is laughed at. But let him get the name of Huxley or Tyndall or a Darwin, and it is swallowed without salt. Huxley has said it. That is enough for many. We are free from superstition indeed. That was a religious superstition, and this is a scientific superstition. Only in and through that superstition came life giving ideas of spirituality. In and through this modern superstition come the lust and greed. The superstitions was worship of God, and this superstition is worship of filthy lucre, of fame, of power. That is the difference. To return to mythology, behind all these stories, we find one idea standing supreme, that man is the degeneration of what he was. Coming to the present times, modern research seems to repudiate this position absolutely. Evolutionist seems to contradict entirely this assertion. According to them, man is the evolution of the mollius, and therefore what mythology states cannot be true. There is in India, however, a mythology which is able to reconcile both these positions. In Indian mythology has theories of cycles, that all process progression is in the form of the waves. Every wave is attained by a fall, and that by a rise of the next moment. That's that by a fall is the next, and again another rise. The motion is in cycles. Certainly, it is true, even on the grounds of the modern research, that the man cannot be simply an evolution. Every evolution supposes an evolution. The modern scientific man will tell you that you can only get the amount of energy out of machine which you have previously put into it. Something cannot be produced out of nothing. If a man is an evolution of the molars, then the perfect man, the Buddha man, the Christ man was involved in the molars. If it is not so, when hence come these gigantic personalities? Sometimes cannot come out of nothing. Thus, we are in the position of reconciling the scriptures with modern light. That energy which manifested itself slowly through the various stages until it becomes the perfect man cannot come out of nothing. It exited somewhere, and if the molus or the protoplasma is the first point to which you can trace it, that protoplasma somehow or other must have contained the energy. There is a great discussion going on as to whether the aggregation of matter we call the body is a cause of manifestation of force we call the soul, thought, etc., or whether it is the thought that manifests this body. The religion of the world, of course, hold that the force called thought manifests the body and not the reverse. There are schools of modern thoughts which hold that what we call thoughts is simply the outcome of the adjustment of the part of the machine which we call body, taking the small second position that the soul or the mass of the thought, or however you may call it, is the outcome of this machine, the outcome of the chemical and physical combination of matter making up the body and brain, leaves the question unanswered. What makes the body? What force combines the molecules into the body form? What force is there which takes up material from the mass of the matter around and forms my body one way, or the other body other way, and so on? What makes this infinite distinction to say that the force called soul is the outcome of the combination of the molecules of the body is putting the cart before the horse? How did the combination comes? Where was the force to make them? If you say that some other forces was the cause of this combination and the soul was the outcome of that matter, and that soul which combines a certain masses of matter was itself the result of the combination, it is no answer. That theory ought to be taken, which explains most of that fact, if not all, and that without contradiction one existing theory. It is more logical to say that the force which takes up the matter and forms the body is the same which manifests through the body. To say, therefore, that the thought forces manifested by the body are the outcome of the arrangement of molecules and have no independent existence has no meaning. Neither can force evolve out of matter. Rather, it is impossible to demonstrate that what we call matter does not exist at all. It is it is only a certain state of the force. Solidity, hardness, or any other states of matter can be proved to be the result of motion. Increase of vortex motion imparted to fluids gives them the force of solids. A mass of air in vortex motion, as in the tornado, becomes solid and by its impact breaks or cuts through the solid. A thread of spider webs, if it could be moved at almost infinite velocity, would be as strong as an iron chain and would cut through an oak tree. Looking at it in this way, it would be easier to prove that what we call matter does not exist, but the other way cannot be proved. What is the force which manifests itself through the body? It is obvious to all of us that whatever the force be that is taking particles up as it were and manipulating forms out of them, the human body. None else comes here to manipulate bodies for you and me. I never saw anybody eat food for me. I have to assimilate it, manufacture blood and bones and everything out of that food. What is this mysterious force? Ideas about the future, about the past seems to be terrible to many. To many to many they seem to be the mere speculation. We will take the present theme. What is this force which is now working through us. We know how in the older times, in all the ancient scriptures, this power, this manifestation of power was thought to be bright substance having the form of this body and which remained even after this body fell. Later on, however, we find a higher idea coming that this bright body did not represent the force. Whatsoever has form must be result of the combination of the particles and requires something else behind it to move it. If this body requires something which is not the body to manipulate it, the bright body by the same necessity will also require something other than itself to manipulate it. So that something was called the soul, the Atma in Sanskrit. It was Atma which thought, which through the bright body as it were worked on the gross body outside. The bright body is considered as the receptacle of the mind, and the Atma is beyond that. It is not mind even, it works the mind, and through the mind the body. You have an Atma and I have another. Each one of us have separate Atma and separate fine body, and through that we work on the gross external body. Question where then ask Questions were then asked about this Atma, about its nature. What is this Atma, this soul of man, which is neither the body nor the mind? Great discussion followed. Speculations were made, various shades of philosophy's inquiry came into existence, and I shall try to place before you some of the conclusions that have been reached about this Atma. The different philosophies seems to agree that that this Atma, whatever it is, has neither form nor shape, and that which has never form nor shape must be omnipresent. Time begins with mind, space also in the mind. Causation cannot stand without time. Without the idea of succession, there cannot be any idea of causation. Time, space, and causation, therefore, are in the mind, and as this Atma is beyond the mind and formless, it must be beyond time, beyond space, beyond causation. Now, if it is beyond space, time, and causation, it must be infinite. Then comes the higher speculations of the philosophy. The infinite cannot be two. If the soul be infinite, there can be only one soul, and all the ideas of various souls you have one soul and I have another, and so forth, are not real. The real man, therefore, is one and infinite. The omnipresent spirit and the apparent man is only the limitation of the real man. In that sense, the mythologies are true that the apparent man, however great he may be, is only a dim reflection of the real man who is beyond. The real man, the spirit, being beyond cause and effect, not bound by time, space, and must therefore be free. He was never bound and could not be bound. The apparent man, the reflection, is limited by time, space, and causation, and is therefore bound. Or, in the language of some of our philosophers, he appears to be bound, but really is not. This is the reality in our soul, this omnipresence, this spiritual nature, this infinite. Every soul is infinite, therefore, there is no question of birth and death. Some children were being examined. The examiner put them rather hard questions, and among them was this one: who does not the earth fall? Why does not the earth fall? He wanted to evoke answers about gravitation. Most of the children could not answer at all. A few answered that it was gravitation or something. One bright little girl answered by putting another question: where should it fall? The question is nonsense. Where should the earth fall? There is no falling or rising for the earth. Infinite in infinite space there is no up and down. That is only in the relative. Where is the going or coming for the infinite? Whence should it come, or whither should it go? Thus, when the people cease to think of the past future, when they give up the ideas of body, because the body comes and goes and is limited, then they have risen to the higher ideas. The body is not the real man, neither is the mind, for the mind waxes and wanes. It is the spirit beyond which alone can live for ever. The body and the mind are continuously changing and are in fact only names of the series of changeful phenomena like rivers whose water are the constant state of flux at presenting the appearance of unbroken stream. Every particle is in this body is continuously changing. No one has the same body for many minutes together, and yet we think of it as the same body. So, with the mind, one moment it is happy, another moment unhappy, one moment strong, another weak, and on an ever changing whirlpool that cannot be the spirit which is infinite. Change can only be in the limited. To say that the infinite changes in any way is absurd. It cannot be. You can move and I can move has limited bodies. Every particle in this universe is in the constant state of the flux. But taking the universe as a unit, as one whole, it cannot move, it cannot change. Motion is always a relative thing. I move in relation to something else. Any particle in this universe can change in relation to any other particles. But take the whole universe as one, and in relation to what can it move? There is nothing beside it. So, this infinite unit is unchangeable, immovable, absolute, and this is the real man. Our reality, therefore, consists in the universal and not in the limited. These are old delusions, however comfortable they are, to think that we are little limited beings, constantly changing. People are frightened when they are told that they are universal beings, everywhere present, through everything you walk, through every foot you move, through every lip you talk, through every heart you feel. People are frightened when they are told this. They will again and again ask you if they are not going to keep their individuality. What is individuality? I should like to see it. A baby has no mustache when he grows to be man. Perhaps he has a mustache and beard, and his individuality would be lost if it were in the body. If I lose one eye, or if I lose one of my hand, my individuality would be lost if it were in the body. Then I, a drunkard, should not give up drinking because he would lose his individuality. A thief should not be good man because he would thereby lose his individuality. No man ought to change his habit for fear of this. There is no individuality except in the infinite. That is the only condition which does not change. Everything else is in the constant state of flux. Neither can individuality be the memory. Suppose, on the account of the blow on the head, I forget all about my past, then I have lost all individuality. I am gone. I do not remember 2 or 3 years of my childhood. And if memory and existence are one, then whatever I forget is gone. That part of my life which I do not remember, I did not live, that is a very narrow idea of individuality. We are not individuals yet, we are struggling towards individuality, and that is the infinite. That is the real nature of man. He alone lives whose life is in the whole universe, and more we concentrate our lives on limited things, the faster we go towards the death. Those moments alone we live when our lives are in the universe, in others, and living this little life is death, simply death. And that is why the fear of death comes. The fear of death can only be conquered when a man realizes that so long as there is one life in this universe he is living. When he can say, I am in everything, in everybody, I am in all lives, I am the universe, then alone comes the state of fearlessness. The to talk of immorality is constantly changing things is upset. So says an old Sanskrit philosopher, it is only the spirit that is the individual because it is infinite. No infinite can be divided. Infinite cannot be broken into pieces. It is the same one. undivided unit forever. And this is the individual man, the real man, the apparent man in the merely is merely a struggle to express, to manifest this individuality which is beyond, and evolution is not in the spirit. These changes which are going on, the wicked becoming good, the animal becoming men, then take them in whatever way you like, are not in the spirit. They are evolution of nature and manifestation of spirit. Suppose there is a screen hiding you from me, in which there is a small hole through which I can see some of the faces before me, just a few faces. Now, suppose the hole begins to grow larger and larger, and as it does, more and more of the scene before me reveals itself, and when at last the whole scene has disappeared, I stand face to face with you all. You did not change at all in this case. It was the whole that was evolving, and you were gradually manifesting yourself. So it is with the spirit. No perfection is going to be attained. You are readily free and perfect. What are these ideas of religion and God? Search for the hereafter. Why does man look for God? Why does man in every nation, in every state of society, wants to perfect idea somewhere, either in man, in God, or elsewhere? Because that idea is within you. It was your own heart beating, and you will not know you were mistaking it for something external. It is God within your own self that is propelling you to seek for Him, to realize Him. After long searches here and there in temples and in church, in earth, in heaven, at last you come back, compiling the circle from where you start, you to your own soul, and find that He, for more you, for whom you have been seeking all over the world, for whom you have been weeping and praying in church and temples, on whom you were looking as a mystery of all the mysteries, shrouded in the clouds, is the nearest of the near. In your own self, the reality of your life, body, and soul. That is your own nature. Assert it, manifest it, pure, not to become pure. You are pure already. You are not to be perfect. You are that already. Nature is like the screen which is hiding the reality beyond. Every good thought that you think or act upon it, simply tearing the will as it were, and the purity of infinite, the God behind, manifests itself more and more. This is the whole history of man. Finer and finer becomes the will, more and more of light behind the shines forth, for it is its nature to shine. It cannot be known. It in vain we try to know it very where it knowable. It would not be what it is, for it is the eternal subject. Knowledge is the limitation, knowledge is the objectifying. He is the eternal subject of everything, eternal witness in this universe, your own self. Knowledge is as it were a lower step, a degeneration. We are that eternal subject already. Now can we know it? It is the real nature of every man, and he is struggling to express it in various ways. Otherwise, why are there so many ethical codes? Where is the explanation of all ethics? One day, one idea stands out as a center of the ethical system, expressed in various forms, names, doing good to others. The guiding motive of mankind should be charity towards men, charity towards all animals. But these are all various expressions of that external truth that I am the universe. This universe is one, or else where is the reason? Why should I do good to the fellow man? Why should I do good to others? What compels me? It is sympathy, the feeling of sameness everywhere. The hardest hearts feel sympathy for other beings sometimes. Even the man who gets frightened if he is told that this assumed individuality is really a delusion, that it is the ignoble to try to cling to this apparent individuality, that a very man will tell you that extreme self abnegation is the center of all morality. And what is perfect self abnegation? The means of abnegation is of this apparent self, the abnegation of all selfishness, this idea of me and mine, ahamkar and mamat, ahamkar and mamat is the result of the past superstitions, and the more this present self passes away, the more the real self becomes manifest. This is the true self abnegation, the center, the base, the gist of all the moral teachings, and whatever and whether man knows it or not, the whole world is slowly going towards it, practicing it more and more or less. Only the vast majority of mankind are doing it unconsciously. Let us do it consciously. Let them make the sacrifice, knowing that this me and mine is not the real self, not but only a limitations, but one glimpse of that infinite reality which is behind, but one strength of that infinite fire that is the all. Represent the present for man. The infinite is his true nature. What is what is utility? What is utility? The effect and the result of this knowledge. In this stage we have a measure everything by utility, by how many pounds, shillings, or pence it represents. What right has a person to ask that truth should be judged by the standard of utility or money? Suppose there is no utility, will it be less true? Utility is not the true test of truth. Nevertheless, there is a highest utility in this. Happiness we see is what everyone is seeking for, but the majority seek it in things which are evanescent and not real. No happiness was ever found in the senses. There never was a person who found happiness in the senses or in enjoyment of the senses. Happiness is only found in the spirit. Therefore, the highest utility for mankind is to find the happiness in the spirit. The next point is that ignorance is the great mother of all misery, and the fundamental ignorance is to think that the infinite vipes and cries that we that that he is infinite. This is the basis of all ignorance, that we the moral, the immortal, the pure, ever pure, the perfect spirit, think that we are all minds, that we are all bodies. It is the mother of all the selfishness. As soon as I think that I am a little boy, I want to preserve it, to protect it, to keep it nice. At the expense of other bodies, then you and I become separate. As soon as the idea of separation comes, it opens the door to all the mischief and leads to all miseries. This is the utility, that if a very small fraction part of the body, human being living today, can put aside the idea of selfishness, and lightness, this earth will become the paradise tomorrow. But with machines and improvements of the material knowledge only, it will never be. This only increased misery, as oil poured on fire increases the flame all the more. Without the knowledge of the spirit, all the material knowledge is only adding fuel to fire, only giving into the hands of selfish men one more instrument to take what belongs to others, to live upon the life of the others, instead of giving up his life for them. Is it practical? Is another question. Can it be practiced in modern society? Truth does not pay homage to any society, ancient or modern. Society has to pay homage to truth or die. Society should be molded upon the truth, and truth has not to adjust itself into society. If such a noble truth as unselfishness cannot be practiced in the society, it is better for a man to give up society and go into the forest. That is the darling man. There are two sort of courages. One is the courage of facing the canon, and the other is the courage of spiritual conviction. An emperor who invaded India was told by his teacher to go and see some of the sages there. After a long search for one, he found a very old man sitting on the blocks of stone. The emperor talked with him a little and became very impressed by his wisdom. He asked the sage to go to his country with him. No, said the sage, I am quite satisfied with my forest here. Said, I am quite satisfied with my forest here. Said the emperor, I will give you money, position, wealth. I am the emperor of the world. No, replied the man, I don't care for those things. The emperor replied, if you do not go, I will kill you. The man smiled serenely serenely and said, that is the most foolish thing you ever said, Emperor. You cannot kill me. Me, the sun cannot dry, fire cannot burn, wood cannot, sword cannot kill. For I am the birthless, the deathless, and ever living, omnipotent, omnipresent spirit. This is a spiritual boldness, while the other is the courage of the lion or a tiger. In the mutiny of 1857, there was a Swami, a very great soul, whom a Mohammedan mutineer stabbed severely. The Hindu mutineers caught and brought the man to the Swami, offering to kill him. But Swami looked up calmly and said, my brother, thou art he, and expired. This is another instant. What good is it to talk of the strength of your muscle, of the superiority of your Western institution, if you cannot take truth square with your society, if you cannot build up a society into which the highest truth will fit? What is the good? What is the good of this boastful talk about your grandeur and greatness? If you stand up and say this courage is not practical, is nothing practical but pounds, shilling, and pence. If so, why boast of your society? Society is the greatest where the highest truth becomes practical. That is my opinion. And if society is not fit for the highest truth, make it so, and sooner the better. Stand up, men and women, in this spirit. Dare to believe in the truth. Dare to believe in the truth. The world requires a few hundred bold men and women. Practice that boldness which darkens which dares know the truth, which dares shows the truth in life, which does not quake before death, nay, welcome death, makes a man know that he is spirit, he is the spirit, that in the whole universe nothing can kill him. Then you will be free. Then you will know your real soul. This Atma is first to be heard, then thought about, and then meditated upon. There is a great tendency in modern times to talk too much of work and decry thought. Doing is very good, but that comes from thinking. Little manifestation of energy through the muscles are called work. But where there is no thoughts, there will be no work. Fill the brain, therefore, with high thoughts, highest ideas, place them day and night before you, and out of that will come great work. Talk not about impurities, but say that we are pure. We have hypnotized ourselves into the thought that we are little, that we are born, and that we are going to die, into a constant state of fear. There is a story about a lioness who was big with young, going about in search of prey and seeking a flock of sheep, seeing jump upon them. She died in the effort, and the little baby lion was born. Motherless, it was taken care by a sheep, and the sheep brought it up, and it grew up with them, ate grass, bleated with the sheep, and although in time it became a big, full-grown lion, it thought it was a sheep. One day another lion came in search of prey and was astonished to find that in the midst of this flock of the sheep was a lion. Fleeing like a sheep at the approach of the danger, he tried to get near the sheep lion to tell it that it was not a sheep but a lion, but the poor animal fled at his approach. However, he watched this opportunity and one day found a sheep lion sleeping. He approached it and said, "You are the lion, I am a sheep," cried the other lion, and could not believe the contrary but bleated. The lion dragged him towards the lake and said, "Look here, here is my reflection and here is your reflection." Then came the comparison. It looked at the lion and then at its own reflection, and in the moment came the idea that it was a lion. The lion roared, and blending was done. You are a lion, you are a soul, pure, infinite, and perfect. The mighty of the universe is within you. Why weepest thou, my friend? There is neither birth nor death for thy. Why weepest thou? There is no disease nor misery for this, but thou art like the infinite sky. Cloud of the various colors come over it and play for a moment and then vanish. But the sky is ever the same eternal blue. Why do we see wickedness? Was a stump of a tree, and in the dark a thief came that that way and said, "That is the policeman." A young man waiting for his beloved saw it and thought that it was his sweetheart. A child who had been told ghost stories took it for a ghost and began to shrink, but all the time it was the stump of a tree. We see the world as we are. Suppose there is a baby in a room with a bag of gold on the table, and a thief comes and steals the gold. Would the baby know it was stolen? That which we have inside, we see outside. The baby has no thief inside and sees no thief outside. So, with all knowledge, do not talk of the wickedness of the world and all its sin. With that you are born to see wickedness yet. With that you are born to see sin everywhere. And if you want to help the world, do not condemn it. Do not weaken it more. For what is sin, what is misery, and what are all this but the result of weakness? The world is made weaker and weaker every day by such teachings. Men are taught from the childhood that they are weak and sinners. Teach them that they are all glorious children of immortality, even those who are the weakest in the manifestation. Let positive, strong, helpful thought enter into their brains from very childhood. Lay yourself upon Lay yourself open to these thoughts and not to weakening the and paralyzing ones. Say to your own mind, "I am He, I am He." Let it ring day and night in your mind like a song, and at the point of death declare, "I am He." That is the truth, the infinite strength of the world in yours. Drive out the superstition that covered your mind. Let us be brave now the truth and practice the truth. Know the truth and practice the truth. The goal may be distance, but awaken, arise, and stop not till the goal is reached. So, know the truth and practice the truth. The goal may be distance, but awaken, arise, and stop not till the goal is reached.